Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video here. Some roster updates, as well as just general updates. The 49ers worked out a number of defensive players today. They also signed a veteran defensive end to the practice squad following the Nick Bosa ACL tear. We'll get right into it, starting off with one of the more notable names that the 49ers worked out today. It was safety Shilo Sanders. Obviously, most known to be Deion Sanders' son. His brother, Shador Sanders, they worked him out today. Shilo Sanders signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers following the draft as a undrafted free agent. He played with them throughout training camp, was with them all summer. Then during preseason, he got into a scuffle when the Buccaneers played the Buffalo Bills in a preseason game. It was actually on Hard Knocks. If you guys watch Hard Knocks, I'm sure you guys seen this. It also went viral all over Twitter and social media, but he got into a scuffle during the Bills Bucks preseason game with, I believe, a Buffalo Bills tight end. It was either a tight end or a wide receiver. I'm pretty sure it was a tight end. He got into a scuffle. He ended up throwing a punch at the Bills tight end, and they ejected him. And then, literally the very next day, he got released by the Buccaneers and has been out on a job ever since then. So the 49ers brought him in today. They worked him out. You know, the 49ers are pretty thin, I think, for the most part at safety. You know, I don't think that's a position where there's a ton of depth. So I get why they worked him out. They also worked out, along with Shilo Sanders, they worked out defensive end Titus Leo. They worked out linebacker Isaiah Thomas, defensive back Brandon Joseph, and defensive back Jalen Mahoney. Jalen Mahoney was actually with the 49ers during the offseason. I'm pretty sure he was cut a couple different times. And the 49ers ended up cutting him one last time and never brought him back. So he worked out with the 49ers today. I don't know if they plan on signing any of these guys, obviously. I mean, the only information we know thus far is that they worked these guys out. But I thought it was pretty interesting that they worked out Shilo Sanders. I don't know if he's been worked out by any other team. I'm pretty sure that this is his first team that he's worked out for since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers cut him. So could be pretty interesting if the 49ers elect to sign Shilo Sanders. Again, I mean, they are thin at safety, so I understand it. But I do think it's interesting that they would want to work out a guy like Shilo Sanders. I guess in a way, his play style kind of fits who the 49ers, I guess, like. He plays fast. I don't know. I mean, I think there are better options out there, but we'll see what happens. I do think it's pretty cool, though, that the 49ers worked out. Obviously, I mean, everybody knows Deion played with the 49ers. He's a 49er legend. It'd be pretty cool for Shilo if he got signed by the Niners and played for them or played with them this year, as his dad did back in the day. So pretty cool story for, I guess, a potential pretty cool story if the 49ers sign Shilo Sanders. So again, they worked out a number of defensive players, but that was the most notable one. When I seen that update, I was like, man, that'd be, number one, I was kind of surprised, but I was also thinking, like, you know what, that'd be kind of cool if they took a chance on him. He would obviously be a practice squad signing, but it'd be pretty cool if they took a chance on him and he was able to play for the Niners just like his dad did back in the day. In other news, the 49ers signed veteran defensive end William Bradley King to the practice squad. So Obviously, I think the biggest question right now is, are the 49ers going to go out and trade for a big time player like Kayvon Thibodeau? Are they going to go trade for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, Azeez Ojulari? There's a couple different names that have been floating out there as potential trade targets for the 49ers in the midst of this Nick Bosa injury. But then there's another side to it where, like, yeah, they could potentially trade for one of those players, but they could also take the cheap route and either just promote somebody within house to the practice squad or from the practice squad. They could just stick with who they have with Bryce Huff. Micah Williams is obviously will be opposite of Bryce Huff. Sam Oak is going to be getting a bunch of snaps. I mentioned that in yesterday's video. That could be another route too. They could continue to stay cheap this season and just promote somebody within to give them depth, or they could go out and grab somebody. And they did grab somebody, and it's William Bradley King. So I mean, look, I think the 49ers have to sign somebody for depth. I mean, losing Nick Bosa, you're going to need a couple different players. You're going to need more than just one player to come in and to provide depth for defensive end. William Bradley King is only 27 years old. He played 41 defensive snaps during the preseason. He had 9 snaps, or I guess plays, on special teams. He's 6'4", 254 pounds. He recorded 2 pressures, including a quarterback hit during the preseason. The last time Bradley King stepped onto the field during the regular season was in 2022. It was a Week 3 game versus the Eagles when he played for the Commanders. That was his only game he appeared in that year. And Bradley King has played in 3 total games, totaling 59 snaps. He did that all as a rookie. He was a 2021 7th-round pick by the Washington Commanders. So, again, they're going to need to find more pass rush bodies after the loss of Nick Bosa. They're probably also going to be relying on some of the players on the roster currently. Yetur Gross-Matos. That's another guy I keep forgetting about for some reason. Yetur Gross-Matos will be another guy to take on a bigger role. Kyle Shanahan spoke about Gross-Matos on Monday. He said he's been out there the last 3 weeks, so hopefully as he keeps going, he doesn't have any setbacks. Hopefully he can continue to progress with that and handle more reps, but we've got to see how that goes. He's obviously Gross-Matos is coming back from an injury. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But again, I mean, I definitely think that he will not be the only defensive end signing for the 49ers. They need more depth than just who they currently have. So it's going to be interesting. I still wouldn't rule out a potential trade. Maybe they could trade for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, Azeez Ojulari. Maybe they try to go out and get Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, if they're going to trade for somebody, you have to think it's going to be for somebody that is on the last year of their contract. Following this year, they're going to be looking for, another. They're going to be looking for a deal with the team. Whoever that team is that currently has that edge rusher that the 49ers might trade for, you got to think that they're going to want to get something out of that defensive end, especially if it's a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who is, in my opinion, I would say, all but done in Cincinnati. I mean, I don't see a situation where Hendrickson returns to Cincinnati. They didn't give him a long-term deal. They did give him a pay increase, but he was seeking a long-term deal. And if they didn't give it to him, just this past year, I don't see them giving it to him this year. I don't think he's going to replicate what he did in 2024 and 2025. So you got to think when it comes to a team like that, they they probably have a sense that it's going to be his last year in Cincinnati. Why not try to trade him, get some compensation for him? Your season's screwed. Your quarterback's done for at least 3 months. I mean, the Bengals are a pretty chalk team for 2025, especially with Burrow's injury. So you're not going to do anything this year. Your quarterback's out. You're likely going to lose Trey Hendrickson in free agency anyway. You might as well trade him and get something out of him. So that's what I would think. You know, it's probably if the Niners trade for a defensive end, it's probably going to be somebody like that where, you know, they they're targeting a guy that's playing on the last year of his contract. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I mean, I definitely don't think Bradley King is going to be the only kind of depth piece that the 49ers try to go out and get. So those are the latest updates surrounding the 49ers. We'll see what happens. Again, they signed defensive end William Bradley King to the practice squad. They worked out free agent rookie safeties Shilo Sanders and many others today. All were defensive players, as expected. So let me know your guys' thoughts on these updates in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.